have good news today, and the good news today is found within Ask the Pastor time. And so we have announced this, and many of you have written letters, emails, and you've asked questions. And so I brought Barbara here today to answer all those for me, and because some of them were pretty tough this time. What's the first question?
Well, everyone wants to know, do our pets go to heaven? And I personally, I'm not sure after this week babysitting our daughter's pet if I really want them to go to heaven. But anyway.
Good point. Well, the answer is we don't know, and this question is actually asked the last time we had asked the pastor back in 2008 at Good Shepherd Lutheran. And that question came up. The Bible doesn't address that, so it's difficult for us to say, whether pets go to heaven or not. We hope so, let me put it that way, except for Barbara, of course. And we asked the congregation, we were using clickers at that time, and we asked the congregation, what do you think? Do our pets go to heaven? And the majority said yes, that they thought that our pets would go to heaven. It's kind of nice to think that during Noah's flood, God saved all the animals. So hopefully the animals, our pets will be there. We don't know for sure. The Bible doesn't say, so it's really our own conjecture on that.
Well, I hope at least the lions and tigers and cougars and cheetahs are there, because I grew up thinking they would be, and I'm longing to see them and cuddle with them.
Okay. Well, you hear that, God? You better have them there. Well, we know there's animals in heaven, or in the new earth at least, because it talks about the lion and the lamb sleeping next to each other, and the roar of the lion. So we know that happens, but what we're not sure of is if they're going to be our very own pets, but we hope so. Next question.
Can non-Seventh-day Adventists be saved? They don't keep the Sabbath holy. They don't keep the Ten Commandments. So what about that?
Well, definitely not. Absolutely not. Now, truthfully, yes, others than Seventh-day Adventists will be saved. Actually, there were no Seventh-day Adventists until 1863, so we would hope from the time of Christ till the Seventh-day Adventist Church was born in 1863, we hope that during those 1800 and some odd years that certainly people were saved, so you don't have to be a member of the church to be saved. What's interesting is John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever believes," whosoever, that includes everybody, doesn't it? Whosoever believes, and I cling to that text, but there are many, many others in the Scriptures that say whosoever will. So it's not a matter of belonging to a certain group. And whoever asks this question, actually, the group doesn't save you. So belonging to a group or adhering to their principles or whatever doesn't save you. It's Jesus Christ. And whosoever will may come, and whosoever believes will be saved.
Does God prohibit the eating of shellfish?
Yes, I do. And God says yes. According to Leviticus 11, shellfish are unclean. So that answers it for many people. But for some of us, it doesn't answer the question entirely, because Jesus said food doesn't go into your heart, but only passes through the stomach and then goes into the sewer. By saying this, he declared that every kind of food is acceptable in God's eyes. That's from Mark 7:19. Some versions said he declared all foods clean. Depends on what version you're using. Some people believe that there are laws, rules, regulations in Leviticus that we don't accept. For example, we don't consider a woman unclean because she just had a child. So some of those laws we accept and some of them we don't. We actually have a teaching of the church that says these unclean foods should not be eaten. And I agree with that for health reasons. But I don't agree with it because we're not Jewish. But I certainly support the doctrine that says we shouldn't eat unclean foods. I don't think they're good for you. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't point out that the reason we don't eat them is for health reasons. It's not because of a Jewish law.
Sounds to me like you're really in the gray area and you're not going to give anyone black and white answers, are you? You're going to make us all think.
I really didn't want you to point that out.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, you have to decide for yourself, but I fully support the teaching of the church that we shouldn't be eating unclean animals, which shellfish is unclean. But the reason why we don't do that is where I differ from some other people.
So it's a good thing the church rules don't say no ice cream.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
You're going to be sorry that you let me come up here, aren't you?
I am. I'm already sorry. Here's another question.
OCC gives Russ Bermejo, a missionary to the Philippines, $300 a month. If I give OCC $300 specifically for Russ Bermejo, does Russ get $600 that month?
And that's really a good question. Many of you know Russ Bermejo. He's a member of our church, and he and his family went to the Philippines to work for the International Justice Mission, and that program is a nonprofit program to help those women and little girls who've been enslaved in some sort of sex trade. And he went there to work actually to save them, to bring them out of that, and to give them the good news. And we've sent Bibles to him, we've sent clothing to him. And our church said, in addition to the stipend that the International Justice Mission gives you, we want to support you and your family. We're going to give you $300 a month. So what if you personally give $300? Does Russ that month get $600? Or does he get just the $300 that the church normally sends? And the answer is Russ would get the $300. Your donation would go into the Global Mission Fund, and the Global Mission Fund pays Russ $300 a month. So your donation would be tax deductible, but OCC would not send an additional $300 that month. If you want Russ to receive an additional $300, you should send the money directly to him. It would not be tax deductible if you do it that way, but that's the way that the IRS rules are. We don't really have control over that. So if you name an individual, then it's no longer tax deductible. If you're sending it to a charity, it is tax deductible. So in this case, someone might say, well, I understand if I send it to the International Justice Mission that I could mark it for Russ Bermejo and he would get it. And I would simply say, I cannot speak for the International Justice Mission. How closely they want to follow the rules is really up to them. But we are required, because we're part of the conference, we are required to follow the rules very, very closely. And so we cannot support an individual. If you mark an individual, we'll probably, well, if you insist on that individual, we would probably give you the money back. But if you just mark it for the Global Mission Fund, it will go into the Global Mission Fund. If you mark it to Russ Bermejo, our treasurer would ask you to redo your envelope and reconsider your donation, how you want that to go. Okay. That's what that says. Now, next one.